So while my installers are still in the house, I get a call from the customer. You know what he says? Where in the did you get these people? I don't know how to answer that one. So yeah, so he says, where in the blank did you get these people? And I'm like, is everything okay? He said, okay, everything is awesome. These guys, they swept and cleaned my entire basement, organized everything around the equipment. Where did you get these people? They're awesome, right? So that's when I learned that there are things that we can do that absolutely have a positive impact on the customer experience, and that's what it's all about. Now, you did your homework, right? What you should have clear in your mind at this point is there's something about you that's unique. There's something about you that's different. You know, there's something about you that leaves customers with this warm and fuzzy that has nothing to do with gimmicks and tricks and little things that you can say and do. It's a personality trait. It's something that's natural in you. You know, I gave you my grandpa experience on the last video. You know, because everything I tried to do in my sales presentation, everything else, sure, it had an impact, but it was the thing that I didn't try to do that made the difference. So with some customers, the steps that you take are going to make an impact. Actually, with all customers, the steps that you take are going to make a positive impact. But it's that other thing that you don't do that they measure you as well. So you need to have both. Now, this is where a lot of programs like this will fall short. They'll say, well, yeah, put booties on your shoes. You know, we were the first to do that in our area back in the 90s. We were the first to do the booties. We were first to do customer surveys. We were the first to do the follow-up phone calls. We were the first to send flowers after the installation. We were the first to do all of these things. And it's different today. A lot of people are doing these things. So this is why we want to focus on that grandpa aspect that you have. Is it a hat that you wear that makes you different? Do you have a pipe? Do you smoke a cigar? You know, what is it about? Remember the commercial with the Bush's baked beans, I think it was, where the guy says nobody has the recipe, the family recipe except for old Duke the dog, and he ain't saying nothing, and the dog starts to talk, and the guy has. So from there going forward, it was about the dog. You see what I'm saying? Corporate America does this very well. You know, there's something unique. You know, you want spinach? You want the one with Popeye on the outside? Do you want you know, a can of corn, or you want the one with the Jolly Green Giant on the outside? You know what I'm saying? There's something unique about you that you need to be blending into everything that you do. Now, so we're looking at two different lists here that we're working. So within these two different areas, these two different focuses, one is that you. Is it the way you dress? Now, let's say you have the hat. Do you go and put the same hat on all your employees? No, that's you, and you're going to be part of the company's image. If you try and put the same hat that you wear, and I'm using this as an example, of course. Say you have a special brim hat that you always wear. That's part of, you know, what people like about you. It makes you you, right? Just having that as part of your logo and having it on the uniform and on the vehicle, you know, on the van or the service truck, you know, logoed in your wrap, as part of that, brings you with your employees on that level. So that's good enough. Don't try to have them imitate you. That may come across as cheesy, unless it can be done in a non-cheesy way, in a genuine way, of course. But we want you to be the celebrity, that part of the package that's kind of a delight. It's kind of a, wow, he spoke to me, right? Because you're going to be famous with this if you do this right. Now, you got to follow me on this. We're talking about local fame, not national, of course. But you can really set yourself apart. Because when you're the guy with the hat, and this is my example, you're the guy with the pipe, or you're the guy with the cigar, or you're the guy that, you know, whatever it is that's unique about you, and think physically as well as characteristically, is how it can manifest in the physical, how it can manifest in the way you speak, how it can manifest in the way you dress, whatever it is, you want that persona that you're developing to be a key element. So as you're going through the list of how your employees interact with the client, then there are things that you can do, and that was the example on my story. On my story, the customer called, true story, and was saying, where in the blank did you get these people? They're awesome. So we had just implemented a new program in this a sequence of steps at the installation, and here's what we did. I had a survey, and I had 5 questions on the survey, and I had a comment section. On the questions, I had a yes and a no, and it may say something like, did the installers clean up after themselves when the job was done? Did the installers go over the operation of the system with you and explain everything as to how to operate the system? Did the installers, clean up after themselves? So I had about 5 questions that I had comments. So with every yes, there was 5, my installers got $2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, $10. And if there was a nice comment at the bottom, in addition to that, they got another $10. So there was $20 per job per installer riding on each job. And this is way back then. You may want to increase those amounts a little bit, but that's what we did. So if the guys wanted to, while they're installing the job, make an extra $20, they just have to make sure that they got good yeses and they got some good comments. And the rule was, you're not allowed to ask the customer to make a good comment, and you're not allowed the customer to say yes or anything about that. If I find out you're doing that, you're disqualified, that type of thing. So we did this, and the end result was fantastic. So did you clean it? Did the installers clean up around the equipment? Well, this guy's like, man, they're sweeping my basement, they're cleaning everything. Where did you get these guys? Do you see what I'm saying? By motivating my employees with steps, it left my customer with a good impression. Okay? Now couple that with, let's say you are the guy with the special brim hat, and you're the one that's coming around, and you visit every install personally, and you look every customer in the eye and say, listen, I want to thank you for your business, and I want to be here for you and whatever you need in the future. You know what I'm saying? So if you take somebody that's got a little bit of fame locally with the hat, a little bit of fame locally with the hat, or whatever your thing is, the cigar, I don't think it's a good idea to take a lit cigar or a lit pipe into somebody's house. But if you have that, if that's part of your persona, an unlit version that's never been smoked, for example, a pipe with no tobacco, for example, would be fine. You carry that in and you talk and everything else. That's you, that's your fame. So you go in and you personally thank this client, and there's something about that has this special bond, okay? And now you've got somebody that's going to be not only happy with what your employees did step by step, but they're going to be happy by having a personal experience with the famous guy, and that's you. And we can build that fame, and we're going to get to that later. But for right now, let's talk about the different areas that you want to apply this. So on the one hand, let's take that personality, the big brim hat, I carried grandpa around with me, maybe you have a dog, or a pipe or a cigar, or whatever it is that makes you you. You can do it with a logo. You can do it with something that's a part. But if you make it part of you, then it becomes real and not something artificial. If that makes any sense. Okay. So now let's go into the different areas of your business. Answering the phone. How is the phone answered? What 3 to 5 things can I insert in the telephone interaction that leaves my customer with a feeling of security, a feeling of I've called the right place, a feeling of these guys are trustworthy, a feeling of this is a company I want to do business with. All right, look for 4 or 5 different things that can be inserted into the experience at the telephone level. Okay, look for that before the telephone level is your advertising level. What can be in your promotion? What can be in your advertisement? What things can be inserted to make that is affixed to that personality that you have? The wide brim hat, the pipe, the tobacco, grandpa riding with you, shotgun, the dog in the back of the truck, whatever your uniqueness is, and it should be unique. Nobody can imitate this, and this is the power of this. So the association of the things that you're doing on the telephone call, the things that you're doing on your advertising is all tied to, I'm going to say, the hat for our example case. So the guy with the hat, right? It's in the logo, it's in the truck, it's in everything. So you're attaching this. Then there's the phone call experience. How is that phone call experience different? And somehow can you sprinkle the hat into a phone conversation? Right? Think about that. What about the sales call? What can you do within the sales call process to do that? Well, if you're the salesperson, it's easy. You wear the hat into the sales call, right? But if you have a salesperson, a comfort advisor, comfort consultant that goes in, make sure he's carrying something that communicates that persona that image that you've developed into the experience, right? So look for 3 to 5 things that you can sprinkle within that and give it just the best experience. What is it about your sales call that the other guys didn't do? The other guys didn't know how to do. Maybe they didn't even consider. Maybe they're subtle. Maybe they're huge. But they should be several. What about the maintenance call on the tune-ups? What about the service call? Service call is very important because this is generally your first visit. How is it the service call experience has these 5, 6, 7 things that the customer says, wow, I've never experienced that before? And how do you affix it to your hat, your personality? How is that blended in there so that when people go to the internet and they look up at heating and air and they see the hat and they go, there's an instant connection that's the guy, he's famous locally, and there's all these positive emotions because I've seen his propaganda, I've seen his advertising, I've seen his commercial, and maybe I've experienced his service call. Those guys are good, right? This is what you want to experience. This is the experience that you want to convey. And of course in the installation, I gave you an example. We did the survey. If we dug up the earth around the pad, if we dug up any earth around the pad where the condenser sat or the package unit sat, we sowed grass seed and put a little straw down around so that it didn't leave it with dirt. We just had little bags of stuff, standard grass seed that we carried around just as an example. We painted stuff, we cleaned stuff, we left it in a better way. Okay, so these are all things that hopefully you're considering, but you need to make a list that's going to address that. Now also let's talk about 3 to 4 challenges. The customers don't understand the technical aspect of heating and air conditioning, but they do know how to test you in their own way. They may ask you a question like, well, on the telephone, well, what do you charge for Freon? That's a disqualifier, by the way. They picked you out of the internet or out of the yellow pages, they called you up, and they say, how much you charge for Freon? They learn somewhere that maybe their unit is low of Freon. They don't know if it's low of Freon. If you have a prepared response for those common questions, you can pass these hurdles. You can triple the amount of customers that you actually gain through that phone call of people who are testing you. And generally is how much for a 2-ton unit, how much you charge by the hour, how much you charge for Freon, right? So if the question is how much you charge for Freon, maybe your reply is, you're a new customer, aren't you? Or you've never done business with us before, have you? Did you know that new customers get their first pound of Freon for free when they do the repair? So we got you covered, you know what I'm saying? So you've prepared for that question. How much for a 2-ton unit? How much for a 4-ton unit? How much for this? How much for that? There are things, if you'll take and sit down and think about the challenges that are going to be thrown at you at every level. That's on the phone call. You got to look at the sales call. You got to look at the service experience. There will be tests that are going to be given to you and your employees. And if you're prepared for those and you handle them eloquently, you'll proceed and the challenges will go away. So at this point, we tie it all together. We've got your image, that thing that's unique about you. It could be the hat. There's something about your personality that we want to accentuate on your employee side. We want to weave that into everything. An image, that means it could be you have an existing image with logos and everything else. You're going to want to add this in. It's somehow, or even replace it if it makes sense, right? So we have your image. Then we have the steps that you take as a company that gives your customer the positive experience at every interaction, from your advertising to the first phone call when they call your company, the person who's trained to answer your phone, to the first service call, the visit, to the follow-up phone calls, the sales call, the installation procedure, the follow-up, surveys, email marketing, all these different things. We want to blend in your uniqueness, the one thing that your competition cannot imitate. And everything is anchored, to use a psychological term, to your persona. It could be your hat. Like I said, it could be your pipe. It could be anything. Whatever it is about you, we want that tied throughout. Okay? So we've got that. Now you've gone through every area of your business that you touch, and you've looked at things that you need to do to leave that warm and fuzzy, and you looked at the most common tests that customers will give you, so that you and your employees are prepared and they easily pass those tests, get past resistance, and get into a real relationship with your customer. That's what it's all about. So the end result is, every time you have that interaction with the customer, it's positive, and it's tied to this unique personality, which makes it a unique experience that nobody can copy. I hope you get this. This is huge. This is important. Okay, so our next move, when we talk on the next video, we're going to start bringing the employees in. How do we get them fired up? How do we get them excited? How do we make them part of this process? And how do we make them excited to be working for you and your company? Excited enough to tell other people that they know in the business, man, you need to come over here and work, because this is the place to be. And so when you're in that position, you are truly in a position of control with your business. And success is just a matter of continuing the process and staying on the path and arriving at your destination at the appropriate time. You'll see. So I'll see you on the next video. I hope you're excited about this. I took it outdoors today just to change it up. So I hope you're excited about this. I'll see you on the next video. Pete Ramsey here. See you then.